So I have close to 8 years experience in the IT industry. Predominantly, it has been only in the RPA domain. Since the beginning of my career, I've been working with RPA only.
Okay.
So I started developing bots using C# Selenium, and after that we transitioned to UiPath tool, and then later the transition came to Power Automate tool.
Yep.
So I have some close to 5+ years of experience in the UiPath tool and 4+ years experience in the Power Automate tool. And I've built over some 30+, 40+ bots, full-fledged bots, not POCs, full complete development of a particular process automation, and then deployed 30+ bots in the production environment. I have experience both in financial sector, healthcare sector, and other sectors as well. So far, I've worked in 3 companies, and this is just a quick introduction about me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Today we'll see about RPA development, RPA tools. Installation we will not be seeing today. These things. So you know RPA, right? Since you have good amount of experience, also you know what RPA tasks are. Typically, RPA tasks will be taken, which are repetitive, mundane tasks, and not so complex tasks. So it'll be more like extracting data from an invoice, populating some value from the Excel to a website, or open a legacy application and then feed the details into that. These tasks are more suitable for an RPA development.
Correct.
And also the tasks will be prior to automation, it will be done by humans. The only difference is they will be allocated into a different project or a different thing, and the RPA will take over their place, because it will give them room to do much more important things rather than doing the mundane repetitive tasks. So that is why RPA came into picture. And then now the artificial intelligence has been in the space for some time, but with the event of 2023 and ChatGPT and other AI related apps, AI has taken control of almost in every IT sector industry, right?
Yeah.
So the gradual transition from RPA is the next thing is artificial intelligence. But even the tools that we are using, they are not waiting for the transition. They have already integrated artificial intelligence into their tools, be it UiPath, Blue Prism, or Power Automate, right? So they've integrated components. In UiPath, they call it as AI Center. Since I know UiPath, I'm referencing UiPath here. In Power Automate, they have integrated it using a component called AI Builder. Okay, they use the machine learning capabilities of ChatGPT, and even in Power Automate, they have integrated a new concept called Copilot, which will that is in the preview mode as of now. But it will come in another 1 or 2 months to the general population. It will be a standard release.
Okay.
With the AI capabilities, what we can do is that in general, what you would have seen Blue Prism, right? In Blue Prism, what you would do is that to create an automation, you will drag and drop certain activities.
Yes.
When you drag and drop certain activities, you will create loops, you will create a recorder for the website automation or the UI automation, and then you would define some if conditions, these things and all. What happens with the event of Power Automate Copilot is that when they claim now that if you type the text, right, I want email automation to send an email and receive this particular body text. If you just type a generative text like that, right?
Okay.
Into the Copilot, what will happen is it will create the automation flow for you. You need not have to drag and drop the activities into the desktop studio or something like that, right? So even to that level, they have brought the automation, artificial intelligence. But as I said before, it is at the beginning stage of it. So you cannot perform complex automations using it. You can create very simple minor operations or minor process automations using artificial intelligence.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of mind questions that I can ask you. Do you think that automation will replace humans in the workforce?
No, in all the cases, no.
Yeah, obviously it cannot replace each and every place, but in the future, almost 90% of the repetitive tasks, everything in any industry, it will be automation will take over, and artificial intelligence will take over, right? Can
Yeah.
all RPA software robots be 100% accurate? What your opinion is?
No, I think we have seen 100% accurate. See, frankly speaking, on Blue Prism, we started developing on related to PDF for text versions, but in those cases, we are not getting 100%
100% accurate.
results. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you would have done a OCR capture for the PDF, and OCR capture would not have generated the text that is present in the PDF with 100% accuracy. So there is always some kind of an error confidence. So what they call is confidentiality score for a particular value, right?
Yes.
So that will not be met no matter what. But they are trying to develop the tools in such a way that it will come as close to the 100%, but it can never be 100%. Also, not just for the PDF. When you do UI automation or UI automation in the sense like website automation or a tool desktop based automation, what will happen is either the tool gets updated. So whatever selectors or whatever values that you have captured in the automation tool, right, that will not match with the tool that you have automated, because the tool would have been upgraded or the website would have been upgraded. So after a period of time, you need constant maintenance and support for us to change the ID values, the dynamic values of the tool, right? So it is never 100% accurate, but they are trying to achieve it as much as possible. And do you think that the RPA processes can also be automated, not just with the tools, through other APIs and programming languages?
Actually, not sure about this. Just we started with APIs.
Okay.
APIs with RPA,
Mm-hmm.
but we are facing a lot of challenges with that piece as well.
Yeah. Since you are in the banking sector, finance sector, obviously they will try to expose as much as APIs as possible, right? Because API is application programmable interface. That is what API is. Where what API do is they have written a program code for the particular tool or a website. The API URL alone, you will be using it, consuming it, either to get the information or to pass the information.
Correct.
Which is a safer way of interacting with the application rather than going into the application and interacting.
Yeah.
So that is more secure. That is why most financial institutions use the APIs. There is other way of doing the automations and all programming languages. So apart from the tools that we have, Blue Prism, UiPath, or the Power Automate, or any other tool for that, we can always do automation using programming languages. We can do it through Python, Java, .NET. Any language can be used for creating automation. But the reason why we are using any specific tool for automation is that programming language requires skill. You need a very skilled labor, whereas the automation tool does not require a very skilled labor. You need a knowledgeable person, but you need not have to be very tech savvy or a nerd to be working on a tool. It's very easy to understand. More people can work on it in a shorter span of time. The lead time to generate a particular automation will be lesser compared to what you are doing in a programming language. Let's just say you take some 4 days to automate stuff in the Power Automate, right? Whereas if you try doing programming, it might take more than a week. And that amount of time taken, the companies want to reduce. So that's why they call the RPA tools in another term called low code, no code platform.
Yeah.
Right.
That is
So, but having said that, we can still integrate APIs into the RPA tools. We can still integrate programming languages into RPA tools. There are different activities that help us to connect to APIs, and there are different activities that help us to connect to programming languages as well. When I mention programming languages, what will happen is that you will write a code in Python or something. You will have that particular bat file or DLL. That DLL or bat file can be integrated into the existing Power Automate or the UiPath tool, right? And you will be able to trigger it. So why that feature is there when the platform itself is a no code, low code platform is that there are still many instances that cannot be automated using Power Automate or UiPath or Blue Prism for that matter, right? There
Yeah.
are many instances where you cannot do use the low code platform. You need the programming language for it to be triggered or some operation has to be done. So they have that feature to have a 100% coverage of automation.
Yep.
So do you think that RPA will work in any industry, or is it only industry specific? Is it only tied to the financial industry?
See, not only financial, mainly in IT services, and which are the big companies. I
Correct.
think only those companies.
Correct. Correct. So it is not very specific to one industry. Any industry which has repetitive tasks, rule-based tasks,
Yeah.
anywhere we can implement. It doesn't matter whether it's a big company, small company, it's no company. It doesn't matter. You can implement RPA anywhere and everywhere. Do you think RPA is worth the cost of investment? As in, like, you buy a bot and then you get a return on investment?
At the same time, we need to see what is the use of that particular bot after creating. So on regular basis, if we use, then it's worth. Sometimes few of the companies or teams they hardly use once in a month. So in those cases, it's not worth. So
Okay.
because of that, I mentioned in the big companies, obviously, uh, this might be the worth spending.
Okay. Yeah. It depends, right? Because for example, I was working in a healthcare industry where Excel data will be given to a employee, and that Excel data will contain thousands of rows, and
Yeah.
each row will contain a patient information. And depending upon the patient information, what we will do is that open a website, their healthcare portal. In the healthcare portal, we'll navigate to the particular patient ID and then update the address or patient name or the insurance card or the date of joining or date of relieving. Those information will be updating it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Prior to we did the automation, they had a manual labor work
Correct.
for. So for each row of data, they'll give $1 for the employee.
Entry. Okay.
Okay. For one entry, $1, one employee they'll give. So what they'll do is that they'll split the Excel into some 2 to 3 parts and then give it to some 5 to 10 people to do the thing. Because 1,000 entries, 1,000+ entries will be there,
Yeah.
and 1,000+ entries, it will take at least minimum one entry. For one entry, it will take some 10 minutes if
Hmm.
you do it in manual entry. Whereas when they came to automation, there is no labor. There's only one or two bots. Whatever bot you created, you can multiply it by creating a copy of the bot,
Yeah.
and you are purchasing only the bot. You are not purchasing. How do we say? If one process you are purchasing, you are not purchasing it for number of bots that you are going to increase,
That
right?
is right. Yeah.
So it is a very big save for the company. But the thing is, it doesn't matter whether they are going to use it for monthly once or every day in the week. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
They will calculate whether the amount that they are investing in human labor is high. is it higher than the amount they invest in the robot, then they will obviously go for the robot implementation.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah. So they will make that assessment, and they'll make sure that the values the operation that is happening in the RPA will be completely foolproof, and they'll have constant support and maintenance. And this thing, so we'll move on to the next thing. So right, like there are certain examples I just wanted to show, like you can get the data from a structured document, a PDF, or a Word or an Excel, and then you can log into and run applications, open email and attachments, obviously fill in forms, read write databases, you can do, make calculations, connect to other systems, right? You can do all these things in this thing. And RPA, as I told before, it is highly manual, repetitive, rule-based, low exception rate, standard electronic input. Standard electronic input in the sense, like it should be a system where keyboard, mouse, because right, like all the automations depend primarily on the system.
Yes.
It either requires some kind of a keyboard input or a mouse pointer input. So I hope you have seen automations, right? The mouse pointer will move to a specific place in the particular website or the application. So this amount of standard readable input should be present. If it is not present, then we might not be able to do the RP automation. And there are some 5 types of bots that are available. Okay. In any tool. This is not very specific to Power Automate or UiPath. This is in general. It is specific to, it is in general. There is an on-demand. So on-demand means it will usually be triggered by a human, or it will be scheduled to take place. So that is an on-demand bot. And side-by-side bot means it will be present alongside the human. So when the human, for example, somebody is working on an Excel, and then they are going to create that Excel and then place it in a folder, right? And once you place the file in the folder, the bot will start taking the file, and then it will start processing it. So it is next to the human, alongside the human, helping the human. And then there is interactive bot. This is also very similar to the side-by-side bot, but the only difference is, for example, suppose an email comes to the inbox, the bot will detect the email, read the email, and then what it might require is, sometimes you need an approval to proceed with the automation, right?
Okay.
So what the bot will do is that it will send an approval request to the human. The human, it can be in the form of an email, it can be in the form of a Teams message, it can be any other form of that, right? So it will send an approval message. The human will take action on it. He'll either approve or deny that action, and that will be interactive bot. And then there is always on bot. So I guess in Blue Prism, queues are there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So the queues will always be on. So whenever data comes into the queue, the bot will get the data from the queue and then process the raw data depending upon the business conditions, whether it is a desktop or a UI automation. What will happen is it will always be on. It will be always on a standby. Whenever the data comes, it will start processing the data. That's all. That's an always on. Interconnected is something, a combination of all the 4 bots. So I'll move on to the next thing. So the course curriculum for our class, our session is that we'll be covering things on Power Automate. Introduction to the Power Automate, we'll see probably tomorrow, and then the types of flows that are there. I'm not sure if how in Blue Prism things are, but I'm guessing like in Blue Prism there is a studio. And then is there a control tower for Blue Prism?
Yes, we have control panel as well.
Yeah. So control panel is there. In the control panel, I'm guessing the queues will be present. And in the studio, Blue Prism Studio, you will design the flows.
Development.
Correct, right? So here, what is there is no control panel or studio. Here, there is a thing called desktop flows and cloud flows. Okay. So this is the cloud flow. This is the URL for Power Automate, and there is a thing called desktop flow. This is the desktop flow. Okay. So in the cloud, you will be able to access this once you sign in. You will be able to access the cloud flow, and then in the desktop, you will have a physical designer studio. But it is completely different from what we are using in Blue Prism or UiPath. The things are quite different here. How different is that in the sense? Whatever file you create in Blue Prism, I think you will have some form of a physical file in the Explorer, right?
Yeah.
So you will go to documents and then you will go to a Blue Prism folder. Inside that Blue Prism folder, whatever automation flow you have created, it will be present there, right?
Yes.
But in Power Automate, it will not be present there. There will, even though you create something in the desktop, right?
Okay.
The desktop designer, once you, I'll take these things in the upcoming classes. I'm just showing you. Once you open the designer, so you here also you will drag and drop things, and then you will define conditions, everything, and then you will save it. But the thing is, it will not get saved into your system. Whatever you are creating here, it will get saved into the cloud only. There is no concept of on-premise values or on-premise files for Power Automate. Everything that you are creating, whether it is a cloud flow or a desktop flow, it will always be connected to the cloud.
Okay.
But difference is you will be having different activities, actions for desktop flow, and you'll have different actions for the cloud flow. Whatever you are doing in the desktop flow will be restricted to desktop flow. Whatever you are doing in the cloud flow, it will be restricted to cloud flow. Some common things will be there, but majority things are completely different. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll definitely see those things. So I just wanted to highlight the fact that there are two types of flows, right? And then we'll be seeing how to create a cloud flow, send an email, create an email attachment, and then there is a Teams message that we can send, and then post flows, tweet, those things we'll see.
Yeah.
And then we'll also see how to troubleshoot the flows. So whenever we are trying to identify something, a selector or value, and then if something goes wrong, how to pick dynamic selectors, how to configure a particular machine, those things, everything we'll see in the troubleshooting phase. And then we'll move on to a more complex automation of build an approval request. I told you, right? Teams message, you can create an approval request. And then I'll show you how to create a file, store documents, and then we'll see building an SQL flow. But there is the Power Automate in actuality doesn't require a SQL. Why? Because you know SQL, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In actuality, it doesn't require a SQL. Why? Because there is an in-house tool called Dataverse. So that Dataverse, what will do is it is already part of Power Automate.
Okay.
Okay, that Dataverse is nothing but it's kind of a SQL only. It will be in the form of tables. You will be able to consume data from the tables, which we will see in the upcoming classes. So Power Automate is part of the Power Apps family. Do you know that? Or
yes.
Yeah. So in the Power Apps, there is Power Apps Canvas, Power Automate, Power BI, and Power Virtual Agent. So all these four things are part of Power Apps family.
Correct.
Previously, what was there is the Power Automate was not called Power Automate, it was called Power Flows. It was already part of the, there was only Cloud Flows. So what they had was only this, only the cloud version of the Power Automate. They didn't have a desktop version of the Power Automate. Recently,
Yes.
only for the past 2 years or 3 years, they've developed a desktop based application which will be useful for automating desktop based applications. So they created the desktop version of it, and then we'll see how to monitor the flows, how to access which flows are running, how to uh, we'll see the admin center also, like how to see whether the storage is sufficient, or how to give user license, those things and all we'll see in the admin center. And then there is import and export flows. I told you, right? There is cloud flow and desktop flow.
Correct.
In Blue Prism, I think whenever you create a flow, you will be publishing it to the control tower, and the control tower will have a job or a process where you will be able to schedule it or perform the trigger automation, right?
Yes.
Where here, what will happen is there is no concept of publishing the flows. So in the cloud flow, the cloud flows will be created like this. So there will be one activity. It will be like a flow chart only in the cloud, right? So these activities will be present. In the cloud, you will be defining this series of actions, right? What will happen is then you will connect to the desktop flow. There is an activity for that desktop flow also, right? Oh, the thing is, when you are trying to develop bots in the dev environment and then you try to put into the production or the stage environment, you have to put everything into a thing called a solution, and you have to download the solution. That will be in the form of a zip file format, and that zip file only you will take it into the production environment. You will upload that zip file. That only can be accessed. There is no other physical file for Power Automate. Do you get it?
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'll see how to share the flows so that whatever you have created will be shared with other people also. That also we'll see. And as I told, there is a component called AI Builder in Power Automate. Using AI Builder, we'll see how to extract information from a PDF, and then how AI Builder is used in the Teams channel. And we'll be seeing some real life examples, also other scenarios, right? And
Yes.
this thing, I think you already have too much experience. I need not have to say these things. These are other tools that are in the market. As of now, my knowledge serves the market competitors are Automation Anywhere, UiPath, Blue Prism, and Power Automate is now an emerging tool. But do you? I mean, are you taking this class specifically because in your company they are transitioning from Blue Prism to Power Automate, or is it something that you wanted to learn?
Actually, see, in our team, Power Automate, just I want to introduce that so that, see, now Power Apps and Power BI, Power Automate is booming, right? So we might transition to Power Automate rather than W
Correct,
or Blue Prism.
correct. But do you know the reason why it is booming when these apps are there?
I think, as you mentioned, it's like in terms of development, it's very easy compared to other tools. And at the same time, in terms of cost, it's lesser than Blue Prism and even Tableau.
Correct, 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 correct. So, for example, the UiPath costs some $430 for per user license, right?
Correct.
Whereas Power Automate costs only $15.
Yes. So
So that is like 1,000 times cheaper than
big difference. Yep.
what is the costing for us to create a robot. And this for $430 is only for developing the bot alone. It does not give license to the orchestrator. It does not give license to the multi-bot architecture bots. It doesn't give access to the AI part of the artificial intelligence part of the UA part.
Yeah.
Whereas everything comes in the Power Automate.
Correct. The license is cost more than 1,000. So
correct. And also people, it's not people, it's the companies. They always prefer Microsoft related apps, right? They
yes.
want Excel, MS Office. They want Microsoft OS. They want any product released by a Microsoft. They subconsciously they feel it is more reliable than any other third party product that is available in the market.
Correct. That is true.
Yeah. So that is also one more reason why they are moving to the Power Automate. But having said that, Power Automate is still in the primitive stage of RPA bot development. To give an example, not example, to give a sense into that, whatever things that are being done in the UA path or the Blue Prism, right? We cannot do everything in Power Automate.
Okay.
Okay, it is still primitive. There are updates coming every alternative week. Every week they are trying to give an update to the product, and the product is getting updated also every week, every month. Over the span of last year itself, they're like close to some 50 updates they have given. Even start at the end of this December also, there is going to be some couple of updates from the Microsoft itself. But whereas Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere, or UiPath, these tools are developed specifically for RPA. Microsoft Power Automate is not like that. Microsoft Power Automate is one of the Microsoft products, right? Since it's one of the Microsoft products, it doesn't get the attention as how these other tools are. So the updates and these things will get delayed, but they are now trying to catch the market. Actually, Power Automate was I told you, right? It was a cloud flow and then there was a desktop flow.
Yeah.
What Microsoft did was they created the cloud flow, but they didn't, they waited until they acquired a tool called Softomotive. There was a company called Softomotive.
Okay.
They acquired this company. And whatever, Softomotive is completely an RPA company, something like UiPath or Blue Prism. What they did is they acquired Softomotive. They converted whatever is present inside Softomotive into a Power Automate desktop.
Oh.
It's like how they acquired MS-DOS and then created a Windows OS, right?
Correct.
So similar to that, they acquired Softomotive and then they converted everything that is present inside Softomotive into Power Automate desktop.
Oh,
That is the thing that we are seeing as a Power Automate desktop. So they are creating more and more updates and then giving us, but still it is in the very primitive stage of development. So you cannot expect 100% of whatever is happening in Blue Prism or UiPath in Power Automate. You can expect to an extent, but you cannot expect everything to happen in the Power Automate. Okay.
Yep.
So this is some of the difference between UiPath and Power Automate. As I told, this will be backend automation. This is based on client server architecture. As I told, it's only on the cloud.
Right.
It's not like how UiPath or Blue Prism is. It is not there present on the desktop. The files will be there. And this is Microsoft and this is pure UiPath and these things. But I think all the RPA tools are built on the .NET library and the .NET, VB.NET or C# as a base. So Power Automate also works on the .NET library and C#. days. And are happening in the Power Automate, we'll be able to see under the new section. What's new section? So if you go to see more posts, they will direct us to a official Power Automate blog where they are updating the releases every month. So articles by date will be there. So every month they'll be sending an update. So last update was reintroducing approval. Yeah. This will be something latest. So we'll have to check it out and then I'll see. So this is the homepage. And here in the create, right? If you click, you will be able to see the types of flows that you can create. As of now, for this session or for this class, I think the process mining is not part of it. We have all these other flows: automated cloud flow, instant cloud flow, scheduled cloud flow, and desktop flow. Okay. And then these are flows that we will create manually. So you will start creating the flows. Whereas there is a template. If you click this template, right, it will start creating the flows automatically for you. So the templates usually contain the some of the predefined conditions. For example, if you see here, what will happen is follow up on a message. So this is Teams application. I think it is being very small to you guys, right?
Yeah, now
Is
it's
this
Yeah.
yeah?
it's fine.
Sorry, I'm working on a monitor, so it's bigger. So here, if you see, this is the Teams message, and this is Microsoft 365, and then this is a timer. So follow up on a message. When you click on that, it will create all these actions: Teams message action, 365 action, and then the timer action. All these will be created and then kept in the template. So there are other templates also: remote work, email, notification. These things, other things are also there. Okay. Now, apart from seeing these things here, also there is something called as connectors. In detail we'll see what is connectors in the next coming sessions. But connector is something like a custom activity. Custom activity means you have an application called Microsoft Teams. You have defined something very custom to that Microsoft Teams. You can create a connector and then publish it. That will be integrated into the Cloudflow. That is called as connector. But of course, we'll see in detail of what is connectors and all. Apart from that templates, right, we'll be able to see the template section in much more examples here in the template section. Okay. And the learn will go to, when you click learn, it will get redirected to the basic automation using Power Automate. What are all the lifecycle management, basic documents for your learning will be present inside. So you can also go through this, but everything will be on a very basic scale. Whatever we are taking will also not be there. So, but anyways, you are free to go to that and then see that. And then this is the my flows section. Okay. So here, whatever cloud flows that you are creating will be present inside cloud flows. Desktop flows will be present inside desktop flows, and shared with me will be uh, something that you will give access to. So here, if you see, uh, you are having only one user now, but in an organization you will have multiple users. So at that time, you will share the cloud flows that you have created to that particular user using the shared with me option. Okay. And then we'll get into the approval solution, desktop flow, AI models, these things and all one by one we'll go. For now, we in the home, okay, in the create, we'll create an automated cloud flow. So and then new email. We do not have access to OneDrive. We do not have access to. Yeah. So now recent update of Power Automate comes with a new designer like this. Okay. So you have to click on this and then see how to configure the settings, everything. But this is a very recent update. So I prefer the old version of the application. Okay. So since this is a email ID that we have to create, right? We do not have option to integrate it with a lot of things. Primarily, first thing would be for Gmail and OneDrive and Teams message, because if you see these are the apps that you can explore. So Power Automate and Power Pages will be available, whereas the other teams, other Microsoft 365 applications are not happening. I mean, not readily available. So what will happen is you have to make a connection to the flows, and then we have to create those connections to gateways you have to open. Okay. So what I have done is I've created a very simple basic cloud flow to showcase that how to create a cloud flow. If you see, you have to click new. I mean, I'll start from home. So I created an automated cloud flow. What will automated cloud flow will give you is that it will give you a list of starting point where the cloud flow should start. Whereas since we do not have OneDrive, we do not have Power BI or Outlook, I had to go to this instant cloud flow only, because instant cloud flow alone gives you a manual trigger and other related actions. Okay. The only difference between instant cloud flow and automated cloud flow is automated cloud flow will give you an action beforehand. That is when an item is created. So when you click on this, right? When you click on this, you can see an action that is already present inside this is the starting point of the action. Okay. SharePoint is the starting point of the action. Whereas Whereas when you create instant cloud flow, you have to select which is the starting point. So if you see manually trigger a flow, it you have created this action. So inside that, you are going to input certain details. I prefer the text for the demo purpose. So I'm clicking text and then I'm typing hello world. Okay. Then the next step is there are different actions available here. There are some built-in actions used for data operations, right? So there is condition. Whatever is an if condition in other programming RPA tools, right? The if condition is called as condition here, and then apply to each is the for loop here. Do until is a while loop here, and scope is more like container, and switch will give you the similar switch operation that you can do. And then terminate will terminate the whole cloud flow with the process. I'll tell you about what is compose, filter array, JSON, these things and all. And these are built-in actions that are present inside the Power Automate. Okay. And if you select built-in, and then if you select any of the built-in actions below, it will give you very specific actions to that particular category. Okay. So if you select data operation, you will get only those related actions to that. And then date time also only related actions to that. And then there are pretty standard, this is for data operation. This will be helpful for your string manipulation, for data conditions, everything will be available in data control or built-in actions. Okay. Whereas in the standard, what will happen is you will have all the other activities for Excel, Teams, and OneDrive. These kind of activities will be present inside this. Okay. And
Yes.
then these are premium things that will not be only if you purchase a premium license, we'll be able to see all these things, which most probably we will not use in even in the real life scenarios. We will not be using these premium actions unless or until it is from a very specific company that we have to see. For example, Adobe PDF services and all is available here, but most probably we will not be using Adobe services in the Power Automate. We will be using that in the desktop only. We will not be using in the cloud at all. And then this is my clipboard. My clipboard is nothing but it's the copy paste of everything. So if I define a condition, right, and then I click copy to clipboard, what will happen is when I go to clipboard, my clipboard, that action will be present.
It's
That's what
kind of
my
favorites.
what?
Kind of favorites. Normally I
Uh,
add to favorites, right?
I'm not sure what you are saying, but it's more like a copy paste. That's all. It's just to have the list of actions that you want to copy. For example, if I add delete a row and then I add copy to clipboard, if I go to the new step and then go to copy to clipboard, the recent action that you have copied will be there inside the delete row. Sorry, my clipboard. Whatever recent actions that you are having, that will be present inside the system. Okay. So here, if I say, and whenever you create an action, right? This is called an action, right? Whenever you create an action, you will get multiple choices of input text boxes, multiple values that you have to change, these criteria and all you have to change, right? Uh, So when you click on that, you'll get this dynamic content and expression. Two things will be coming for you. In the dynamic content, the values present inside this, right, will be the values that will be coming as an output from the previous actions. So what is the action before the condition? Manually trigger flow is the action present before the condition. So when I click on this, I'm getting all these details. So who is triggering the flow? What is the email? What is the date? What is the timestamp? Full address, country, region. All these are outputs of this particular action. Manually trigger a flow. In that, what is we require is there is only one input that is visible to us. Of course, these are values that are coming from it, but what is the value that we require from that is only input, right? So we take that value and then check whether that input is equal to hello world, right? So there is, as I said, this is more like an if condition. So what they do is that they give a predefined conditions, contains, does not contain, all the greater than, lesser than, everything will be there here. We just equate the input to hello world, and then if it is a yes, terminate the flow. If it is a fail, then I have to click add on action again. So just like any other, anywhere you see this star symbol, right? Whether it's an email, form filling, whatever it is, wherever the star symbol is there, it is a mandatory field to fill it. So other mandate fields are not required to fill in. So only you should make sure that you fill in the mandatory field. And then once you, so this is a simple flow I have created. Once you created this flow, it is again mandatory to click save.
So
Only
there
after,
is, we don't want to create any variables here, right? Arguments or variables. Nothing we want to create.
we have to create variables, and arguments are not there,
Oh,
but there is an option to create variables and all. Okay,
oh,
that I'll show you. I'll show you. For
okay.
now, we a simple flow creation, then we'll get into the variable section.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Uh, so with respect to Power Automate, right? So a very important step, whether you're working tomorrow in a company or outside, wherever you're working for a demo purpose or whatever it is, right? Just make sure now I have clicked save. Okay. What I usually do is that whenever I create an action, I define a condition. Let's just say I define a condition. I have to, I'll immediately go save it. The reason why is that because uh, what happens in Power Automate, I hope you guys don't face that, but usually what happens in Power Automate is that the activities that we add, right? What will happen is the moment you add it, the whole screen will go blank. In this section, this part of the section alone will go blank. These things and all will be there. Okay. But
Okay.
so what will happen is, since this section goes blank, when you try to save it, right, it will throw an error. Some is a, let's just say you have okay, I give this thing and then try saving it. So what will happen is in this place, wherever you are seeing your flow is ready to go, right? You will get an error, some kind of an connection error or okay, then I can give you the connection error. Yes. So if I try to save it, right, you will get this error. Default conditions invalid. What will happen is when it goes blank, you will not be able to see any of these flow items. So the only alternative way to do that is you have to go back and you have to leave the page, right? But you have not saved whatever you have did. You will go back and then when you click edit to come back inside, right? See, whatever I created, right? The new delete new row or create new row I have created is not saved. So if you don't click save, it will not be present. You guys understand that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a best practice to just whatever action you do, once you do that, just click once save. So that even if you go back, at least till the portion that you have done and then click the save, the data will be present. Okay. So I've created a manual trigger flow. I've created a condition. Inside that, I've defined to terminate, succeeded, failed, these things. I am going to test the flow. Okay. So for that, you have to go and click test. Here, there will be two options. Let's come back to the automatically option later. First, we'll see manual option. Once you click manual, you'll click test. This is the input, hello world. I'm clicking run the flow. Also giving a soft gray line so that it prompts, it's more like a prompt, right? So this is executed. This condition is also executed. And then it succeeded. Okay, this part is skipped. This is succeeded because it matches the data. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you try to test the flow for the second time, right? When you try to test the flow for second time, this automatically gets enabled. Previously, it was not enabled, right?
Yeah.
Only manually was enabled. Now, if you click automatically with the recently used trigger, which is nothing but a trigger that we had used previously in the manual.
Okay.
This was the test case that we have given 41 seconds ago. Okay. So you can select this also, or you can go again with the manual test. For the, I'll try to give the test, right? Automatically test, and then click test again. What will happen is it will give the same data that was present before, and then pass the data to this again once more. Okay. So this is the test scenario. When you see a tick mark, which means it has been success. It is success. When you see an into mark, it will usually be it has some kind of an error or something. Okay. Now if I say edit and then click test manually. Now if you see in the automatically there will be two test cases because we ran it for 2 times.
Yeah.
And then I click I. And if you see, in the previous case, hello world was coming as an input. So this got executed, it was a successful. Whereas now I typed only hi. In this case, it has failed. So the run details has failed. Okay. So once you want to go back into the studio, you have to click edit. And then you will be able to see the flow again. Right?
Okay.
When you go back, let me show from here itself. When you go to the home page, sorry, my flows. Yes, when you go to the my flows, previously it was completely blank, right? But now if you see, there is two things that we have created. The cloud flows are present. So when you click on the test bot, you will be able to see the details of the flows. So this is test bot. You'll be able to see the status, whether it is turned on or not. You'll be able to see the run history of the bot, and then you'll be able to see the connections, owners, these things and all. Okay. Uh, Here there are a couple of options. I'll in detail explain everything probably tomorrow because it's
Okay.
already too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. You keep the subscription, keep the email ID, everything and all. Tomorrow we'll in detail see what each action or each button is doing, how to edit the all these things, how to see in detail description about the run history, and how to share the flow, how to create a proper cloud flows. Everything we'll see probably tomorrow in the next classes. Okay.
Okay.
For now, we have configured the Power Automate cloud. We'll start creating the cloud flows in the coming classes.